In 2026, if you're on a tight budget and you're looking for a nice looking productivity and gaming machine at 1440p, then for just 1,200 Canadian dollars, this would be the build that I recommend to almost anyone. So stay till the very end to see what parts I've used and what it performs like in some popular titles. But first, if you don't want to have to deal with the headache of finding the parts, putting it together, and then testing it to see if it fully works together, then you could check out my website woostenstechflip.ca, where I have fully built and tested custom gaming PCs for sale locally ready for you to pick up and start gaming. The link is down in the description if you are interested. If you're not, let's continue with this PC build guide. We are once again starting with the CPU motherboard combo, and it's a pretty good bundle that I picked up from Memory Express for just $292 after tax. The bundle did originally come with an Asus motherboard, but I swapped it out for this Gigabyte one since I wanted to use the Asus board for another build with an Asus TUF graphics card. And so for the motherboard I decided to switch is the Gigabyte B550M Gaming X Wi-Fi 6. It comes with 4 RAM slots, 2 M.2 slots, built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth, which are features that a normal PC gamer would ever need. Since this is a B550 motherboard, it supports pretty much all AM4 CPUs, and with its decent VRM design, it should be able to handle something like the Ryzen 7 5700X or even the 5800X 3D in the future with no issues. And when it comes to having no issues, the CPU that comes with the bundle will run perfectly with the motherboard, and it's the Ryzen 7 5700 non-X chip. It is an 8-core 16-threaded 65W TDP processor with a base of 3.7 GHz and a boost up to 4.6 GHz. While it is a Zen 3 CPU, it's got half the amount of cache than an X counterpart, which would put the gaming performance of it similar to a Ryzen 5 5500, which if you saw in my video from 2 weeks ago, it's still great in 2026. But I guess the only thing I don't like about this CPU is that it's locked to PCIe Gen 3 only for everything. Anyways, because the 5700 non-X is only a 65W TDP CPU, you could definitely save some money here by buying a cheaper air cooler. But since this is a white themed build I'm going for, and I want something that will look premium, I ended up using the Snowman 240mm AIO with a digital display that I bought a bunch of from Alibaba for 50 bucks. And like I said, it's definitely overkill for the 5700, but visually it does make the build look a lot cleaner, especially with the digital stats display and ARGB on the pump head. However, these AIOs and case we are using today, which we'll get to later, did not come with any fans, so I added these 3 ARGB fans to the build, with one mounted in the back of the case as exhaust and 2 mounted onto the side of the AIO to cool the CPU and act as intake. And I usually sell these fans for about $8 a pop locally, so I'll be adding $24 to the total price. Now moving on to the RAM, since this is an AM4 rig, we are saving a little bit of money by utilizing DDR4 opposed to DDR5, so I'll be using this 32GB 2x16 gigs of 3200 megatransfer CL16 white Corsair kit I got from Marketplace for just 150 Canadian rupees. There are tons of used kits for around that price on Marketplace for now. Just last year, 32GB was becoming the new standard for gaming PCs, but in 2026, I would say it depends on what you're doing with your system. If you're only gaming, 16GB is still perfectly fine and can save you some money, especially when you look at consoles which are still running games with a similar amount of memory. And speaking of things that don't affect gaming, the SSD I'll be using is this Crucial P310 1TB Gen 4 NVMe. Now I wouldn't recommend going out and buying the exact same drive. For most people, I would just look for the cheapest reliable 1TB NVMe SSD you could find, which is usually going to be around that $230 Canadian after tax. But you could definitely go cheaper with a 512GB or a used drive. And the only reason I'm using this one today is because I have a few of these in my inventory, so it makes sense to use this one instead of buying another drive for the video. Now moving on to the power supply, I ended up using this Ekbel 750W 80+ gold unit that I got from a trade-in for just 50 Canadian dollars. It isn't the prettiest thing in the world, especially with the ugly ketchup and mustard cable, but it gets the job done and has more than enough wattage to power today's system. This is one of those parts where I wouldn't recommend copying exactly what I did, as buying a used power supply can be pretty risky unless you know what you're doing. So instead, if you're building this for yourself, I would try to save money from areas like the cooler, storage, or the RAM, then put that towards a new 650W to 750W unit from a reliable brand. As for my ugly power supply though, I have a good solution, which is this all white cable extension kit that goes for around $25 shipped on AliExpress when there's a sale. It comes with white cable combs and white tips, which honestly makes the inside of the build look a whole lot cleaner and fit way better with the white theme I'm going for. Enough said about making the PC look pretty though, let's talk about the part that actually matters, the graphics card. For this build, I went with the MSI Dual Fan RTX 3070 8GB from Marketplace for just $300 Canadian. And you should be able to find one locally for around the same price. Sadly, this unit I have isn't white, but when you're building on a budget, finding a white GPU at the right price is honestly really difficult, especially since they are rare and people like to charge a white tax. Finally, to complete the whole system, I once again bought a case from my friend, and this time it's this $70 Snowman CS003 white fish tank case. It has a dual tempered glass design that gives it that premium fish tank look while still having enough space for a full-size GPU, a side-mounted 240mm AIO, as well as 360 AIO on the top. Also, it has plenty of space in the back for cable management and space to mount up to 3 SATA SSDs. With all that being said, here's the price tally for the build, and it comes to $1191, which is just a little shy of $1200, but with alternative parts and options, it should also be around $1200 or cheaper for you. And for this build, I will be listing it for $1200 locally when the video is live. But before we move on to the benchmarks, here's the conversion for some other countries for the keyboard warriors. With the price breakdown out of the way, I'll leave you guys with some benchmarks in 1440p, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.